Well, hello and welcome back to this week's episode here on the Resto Saga Workshop channel. And I can scarcely believe it, but this is the final episode in the Toylander 1 build series. So let's sit back and get stuck into the final finishing details on the Toylander 1 build. Okay, so moving on to the freshly painted dashboard. I think it's come up quite well, certainly compared to the other one, wherever it's lying. Yep, there. Which is nothing short of a mess. These are the sticker transfers that go on, and it's going to be just like the dashboard. And looking at pictures of actual series ones, the clocks seem ever so slightly not centered, but I think for just the appearance of this I will center it, and then there'll be switches put in these blank spaces, and I'll put the key through the keyhole, because there's going to be horn switch, light switch, and direction switch, so all of those have to go in. So I'm going to just center this, probably put the direction switch here, horn, and then light. That's the plan anyway. So we'll get that on and see how it goes. Alright, so that's the sticker transfer on. I think that looks pretty cool. Irritatingly, you can see my fingerprint in the paint, so this paint is not 100% dry. I'm so fed up with the paint on this, but it looks good, so I'm just going to carry on. I'm so done. This is a little ignition switch, so I'm going to try my best to set it in the middle of that sticker. If I can drill the appropriately sized hole and then just pop it in there. You'll notice it's got two flats on it, which I presume are to hold it flush, stop it spinning around even if the nut is tight on the inside. So I'm going to have to go with that, try my best not to mess it up. And there we have it, with some careful measuring and drilling and a lot of filing. I have the key slot centralized in this sort of switch sticker. This is the direction switch, that's the light switch, and that is the horn, which I think it all looks pretty cool. No particular layout here, but I just wanted to leave enough room around here for the key. Direction switch fairly centralized, and I wanted everything just to line up tidily, and I managed not to mark the paint, which is a bit of a win, so really very pleased with that. And I'm glad to report in this little segment that the wiring is complete at long last. It's not particularly tidy, but you know what, it works and it's going to be all out of sight. I've never been particularly gifted at getting super tidy wiring, but it's a long process. There's a lot of cut wire on the floor, so I'll just take you a quick look through what I've done. So onto the bonnet. This is the 50 amp motor fuse in here. The big wires taking juice from the battery to the motors, and they go down through that little hole in the floor. What else have I got here? Off the back, these two little terminals here go to a plug, and that's where the charger is going to get plugged in. Now, Toylander themselves suggest poking it out through that hole by the steering column, but I don't know whether their design actually included this massive fuse in line, which means you can't put the wire in small end first and you can't poke it out big end first, and I'm certainly not taking the steering column out again, so I'm afraid that's just going to have to go a different way. I'm thinking of somehow working out how to hide it down here and it'll be out of the way, and I think that'll be quite tidy, and you can just pull it out, plug it in, and then tuck it back in there again. That's the plan anyway. This is my little junction box. Probably didn't need just as long, but at least I can screw it and attach it and keep it secured up there. This is the horn, and this is the little fuse box. I got them off eBay. I didn't buy quite a lot of the electric stuff off Toylander themselves. I did buy the horn and the switches. The wiring I mostly already had, so I just cobbled it together from what I had. And these little pigtails for the lights, I just bought those as units from Bermac, as after all these are just Defender reversing lamps, so their own pigtails are just fine. Moving around the back, you can see the wires come up from under the floor here, and you can just see the wires traced in underneath, and they're well attached up in there. I've tried to cable tie everything that I can here nice and secure, so there's not going to be a lot of movement, and then I'm ready to put the motor closing panel back on, cover all this up, but I just wanted to make sure all the wiring is working. And then in around the dashboard, it's all wired in now, so I'm just ready to push that back up and then put the 4 screws in, tidy up this wiring, and then that's pretty much us done. Just need to put the seats back in, motor closing panel in, cut the mats to shape, put the spare tire on, and take it for a test drive, which is very, very exciting. I can't believe we've actually got to this point, just as the weather starts to get beautiful outside. So it's going to be a really good fun spring and summer ahead. So without any further ado, let's get all the bits and pieces tidied up, and let's clear a path out of the garage and get this show on the road. And just like that, I have loaded the Toylander onto my trailer on the back of the Land Rover and shifted it down here to where the trailer really gets stored. And I'll hopefully put some B-roll footage in. I don't know if that's what it's called, but the annoying thing is I had recorded another little segment of video. Well, I thought I'd hit record, but I must have talked away to the camera and not actually recorded it. So apologies if the jump forward, but the Toylander's finished. Now, I'm not going to show you it moving. I'm going to do like a really nicely shot video if I can in a few weeks time, showing you how it all works and how it all comes together and show it moving. But I'm absolutely delighted with how it's finished. The motors obviously live in under here. This is the motor closing panel, which is attached to this little button here. I probably should put another button on the top actually, because that is a little bit, moves a little bit, so if I could put another button under there just to attach it at the top, but that's okay. 2 panels on over the wheel arches. The seat is in. You can see there's been some test drives already. The dashboard is all attached up and fully working. The bonnet's back on. I've added the little latches to keep the bonnet down. Rope around the bumper. It's sort of like a makeshift bumper protections type system, and just in case the wee man decides to drive it into the wall or the hedge. And the wheels are on, and the wheel caps are on as well, so all good there. Those are just tapped on. You put like a roll maybe of insulation tape over that and then hit it so you're not actually knocking the caps. Now, some problems that I've encountered. The wheels sort of set out quite negatively cambered. So in other words, they are in at the top and out at the bottom, which makes it look a bit daft. So I've tightened up, if I look under here, those steering joints. Tightened this bolt here. Now it's balancing act, you don't want to get too tight so the steering's heavy. And I still need to grease the little steering joint there too. There's also quite a bit, well, not quite a bit, there's a bit of sort of lateral movement here on the front wheels. And you can maybe get the impression of the camber there slightly. So there's a bit of lateral movement on the wheels on the front that isn't on the back, and the reason it isn't on the back is because you actually measure and drill and put the split pin through in the back, whereas here you're just tapping on the caps. So I've ordered more caps, and I'm going to put some little shim washers in here just to tighten up the tolerance. I'm not sure if that quite captures it, but if I can try and take maybe half a mil out of that even at least, I think it'll really straighten the wheels up. Steering is actually quite heavy for small people. The steering wheel is small, so obviously the moment or the force you're able to turn through it isn't all that great. So plenty of lubrication, I suppose, will make it easier for them. I'm over 100 kilos, probably on a bad day, 104 kilos. I reckon with me driving it, it certainly is at the limit of its abilities. And if I put my little son in with me too, you really do notice it's starting to struggle. So flat ground on tarmac, it's probably okay, but if you come to a hill or you're driving off on rough ground, I really don't know that it's gonna really appreciate it too much. So that's something to note. But my little son, who turns 3 in a week or 2, he drives it. It like goes really well off-road, but on the grass. And I'll show you some footage in the not too distant future of that. I have greased all the little grease nipples on the wheels, and I've put light oil on the chains in behind there, but I might need to look into that. Probably some bicycle chain oil will probably be the best, but just you need to see something that's quite adherent without running into any problems. yeah, so I don't really know what else to say. Other than the fact that I'm absolutely thrilled with how it's turned out. I think it looks really smart. All the little details have really come into their own. There's always some things I like to fix. The inside of this disc still needs painted in the correct limestone, so that's one thing. The tailgate may get revised. I haven't quite decided yet. This really needs cross drilled in here. Ideally you could drill through that and put a roll pin through there just so the steering wheel doesn't come off in your hand someday. So that's something to think about. And I need to pack up those front wheels too with the little shim washers. So yeah, plenty to be, well, not plenty to be getting on with, but some final details just to adjust, fix, and to get it up to 100% scratch. The wiring is as tight as I'll get it. I'm not going to open the bonnet because it is a bit of a handling to get that open. The other thing is the spare wheel. This is a spare wheel holder from Toylander. It's not that great. What I would like to do is if I can get someone to machine a little spacer for in here, I could put a big long M8 bolt through the bonnet just to secure the tire that it doesn't move around. The other thing that annoys me slightly is I removed the front panel because there's a bit of flex, so I removed it and I've glued it in place, and I haven't actually put it back on perfectly straight, which is really annoying because it was perfectly straight beforehand and now I've gone and banjaxed it. So that's a shame. I actually prefer it with the windscreen down, so that's it with the windscreen up. If I just flick these catches, and I'll put that back down. I think it looks more cool like that. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Windscreen up, windscreen down. My little son likes it with the windscreen up, but I think it looks a bit more rakish with it down, a bit more adventurous, but maybe that's just me. Absolutely delighted with the colour. I had some people make comments that it's a bit girly. It's a traditional Land Rover colour, so I don't really understand that argument. It's an interesting point to make, but thank you to all those who have commented so far and really followed this build. I'm absolutely delighted with the finished result. I think it looks really smart. There's very little else I would change about this. And in the future, I suppose we'll get a tow bar on it and build a matching trailer, which I think will be pretty cool. So I'm going to wind this video up here. In the next coming weeks, I'm going to really put the effort in, try and make a nicely produced video about the Toylander, a whole review of it, the build, the history, and just add in photos and so on to take you through it all. But thanks very much for following, and we'll wind the video up there, I think. And I really hope you enjoyed that. The Toylander one is finally finished. Now there will be at least one more video. I'm just going to do a full overview of it all, from really the build from the start, right at the plywood sheets, through to where we are now, talk you through how it is to use it, to drive it, and some footage of it moving around, and my wee man even driving it. I think that'll be really good fun. So fire me a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up if you've liked this too, and you can find me over on Instagram and Facebook as well. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you again very soon. Cheerio.